tell people to watch the movie, check it out, look it up, but I don't think y'all have. So let me just bring it back to y'all attention. This movie is very inspirational, very motivational to revolutionaries. This movie is very controversial. The book is very controversial. I advise y'all to read the book first. Y'all can listen to the audio on YouTube. People are going to be reading from it, or you can watch the movie on YouTube. I think it's still on YouTube and for free. The Spook Who Sat by the Door, Sam Greenlee. And shouts out to Op from the Norm. He put me up on this shit. I swear I wanted to go shoot up some shit the moment I got done reading that. And when I saw the movie, I was like, oh man, I'm ready to go fuck some shit up tonight. But anyway, the spook who sat by the door. Wait. Yo, computer, set me up. You're on the USS Hurricane.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
There's computer. I'm prepared to engage.
The Spook Who Sat by the Door. The controversial best-selling novel now becomes a shocking screen reality. The story of the first black agent in the CIA.
Whoever they select was the best-known spy since 007.
Their first mistake was letting him in.
And let me congratulate you on being the first Negro officer in the Central Intelligence Agency.
Their worst mistake was letting him out.
You really want to mess with me? I can show you how.
For 5 years, he was the token Negro.
Freeman, you people must serve.
For 5 years, he kept his cool.
You just don't belong. Can you be happier with a knife in your hands? Like your mama.
And in return, they taught him how to spy, how to fight, how to kill. For 5 years, he was the spook who sat by the door. And then he turned gangs of ghetto kids into a highly trained guerrilla army.
We live off the land. You match technology with spontaneity and improvisation. Men against machines, brains against computers. Now, if you don't think it can work, you check out Algeria, Kenya, Korea, and Annam. Can you dig it?
He turned a summer riot into a revolution.
This is not about hate white folks. It's about love and freedom and love, die or kill for it if necessary.
He turned the American dream into a nightmare. Yesterday, a novel. Today, a movie. The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
And the mayor's office is now air-conditioned, courtesy of the Black Freedom Fighters of Chicago. How long since you've been in bed?
Not since the riot started.
That was 3 nights ago, man.
Yeah, I know. Catnap when I can.
When did the National Guard come in?
Late last night. All white.
I noticed.
Yeah, the people didn't dig it when they woke up this morning and found the troops were here.
What do you think they'll do?
I can't see them trying to fight the army.
You didn't mind fighting police?
Yeah. I never seen them like that.
Maybe that badge has put distance between you and them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot. The pigs over here and the people over there. And never the twain shore. Hey, man, I grew up down here, too. And I know these people. And there were some good people out there in the streets the last few nights. Not just hoodlums, like they say in the newspapers.
In a scene like this, anybody can get involved.
But that's not going to make it worse. We have to maintain law and order, or we might as well be back in the jungle.
Does. The ghetto is a jungle, always has been. Understand, you cannot cage people like animals and
not expected to fight back someday. It has always been an army occupation here, with police badges and uniforms. Huh? You and me, a cop and a social worker, we are keepers of this goddamn zoo. The streets have to be safe. Safe for who? You're here to protect property, not lives. Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? You worked hard to get what you got, didn't you? And you want to keep it just like I... Bullshit. Listen, you think because you got a badge and I got a couple of degrees, that makes a difference? Do you know what white folks call people like you and me in private? Niggas, dogs. Niggas. Hey. Haven't heard you talk like that since we were in college. Well, I'm sorry, man. Maybe the last 3 nights been a little bit much. I got a board meeting. I got to go reassure the white folks. Let's go get something to eat, okay? Okay. '73, Chicago. A film opens in theaters across the city. It is low budget. It is independently made. It has no major stars. It is not playing in the big multiplexes downtown. It is playing in neighborhood theaters on the south side and the west side, in the same blocks where the story it tells actually takes place. The film is about a black man who infiltrates the CIA. He spends 5 years learning everything the agency can teach him: espionage, surveillance, guerrilla warfare, psychological manipulation, how to organize, how to recruit, how to build a network that cannot be broken. And then he quits. He goes back to Chicago. He finds a street gang, and he turns them into a revolutionary army. The film is called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Within weeks of its release, it is pulled from theaters. Not because it fails at the box office, it is doing well. Audiences are lining up. The neighborhoods are talking about it. Word is spreading exactly the way the FBI does not want it to spread. The FBI pressures the distributor. United Artists removes the film from circulation. The prints are recalled. The movie effectively vanishes. For the next 30 years, it becomes a ghost, a legend. A film that people remember seeing once, the movie effectively vanishes. For the next 30 years, it becomes a ghost, a legend. A film that people remember seeing once and can never find again. But here's the detail that should stop you. At the same time, the FBI is pulling this film from theaters so that no one can see it. The FBI Academy at Quantico, Virginia, is using the novel it is based on as required reading. Required reading for FBI trainees. The same government that bans the movie is teaching the book to its own agents. They are studying.
Yeah, crazy. You banned the book, banned the movie, but you teaching this bitch to FBI just in case a motherfucker will creep up in that bitch. What we should do is just creep up in the CIA and just blow that bitch the fuck up. Fuck infiltrating, just blow that bitch the fuck up. Ha! How about that? Catch me outside. How about that?
Not as fiction, as a threat assessment, as a blueprint for what a real black operative might do if he turned against the government. They want their agents to recognize the pattern, to understand the playbook, to know what it looks like when a man with training decides to use it on the people who trained him. The FBI bans the movie for the public and requires the book for its own people. And here is why that matters. Because less than 15 years later, a real man on the south side of Chicago is going to do almost exactly what the character in the film does. He is going to take a street gang, the largest street gang in the city's history, and give it a political identity, a religious framework, and a military structure. He is going to negotiate from inside a federal prison cell with the government of Libya for $2.5 million to carry out acts against the United States of America. The FBI banned a movie because they were afraid it would give someone the idea. Someone got the idea anyway. This is the story of the film the FBI tried to erase, and the man who made it real. This is that story. Start with the man who wrote it, Sam Greenlee, born 1930, Chicago, South Side. The same streets that the story would eventually return to in fiction and in reality. Greenlee is not a gangster. He is not a hustler. He is not from the streets in the way the men in his novel are. He is educated. He attends the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And in 1957, he takes a job with the United States Information Agency, a government department that handles American propaganda and public diplomacy overseas. For 8 years, Greenlee works for the United States government. He is posted to Iraq, to Pakistan, to Indonesia, to Greece. He represents America abroad. And the entire time, he is watching how the American government operates behind the curtain. The intelligence gathering, the manipulation of foreign governments, the training of political groups to serve American interests, and then abandoning them when they are no longer useful. And he is black, working inside a system that sends him overseas to represent American values while denying those same values to people who look like him back home. The contradiction eats at him for 8 years. And when he comes home to Chicago, he carries a question that will become a novel. What if a black man used everything the government taught him against the government that taught him? The government that taught him. In 1969, the novel is published. The Spook Who Sat by the Door. The title is a double meaning. Spook as a racial slur. Spook is slang for spy. And the man who sits by the door is the token black agent, placed near the entrance so visitors can see that the agency has integrated, while the real work happens in rooms he is never invited into. The character, Dan Freeman, plays the game. He sits by the door for 5 years. He absorbs everything. And then he walks out, goes home to Chicago, finds a street gang called the Cobras, and turns them into something the United States government has never faced before. A black guerrilla army, trained with CIA methods, operating in American cities. The novel is dynamite. Critics call it part thriller, part satire, part social commentary. It is rejected by dozens of American publishers before a British house picks it up. When it finally reaches America, it sells. The neighborhoods devour it. And the FBI immediately understands what it has on its hands. In 1973, the film version arrives, directed by Ivan Dixon, co-written and co-produced by Greenlee himself, shot on a small budget in Chicago on the actual streets the story describes. The reaction from the FBI is swift and documented. The film is pulled from theaters. United Artists, the distributor, removes it under pressure. The prints vanish. For 3 decades, The Spook Who Sat by the Door exists as a rumor, a cult legend, a film that people insist they saw but cannot find a copy of anywhere. And at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia, the novelty sits on a reading list. Aubrey Lewis, one of the first black FBI agents recruited to the Bureau in 1962, tells Greenlee directly that his book is required reading for FBI trainees. The same government, banning the movie with one hand, studying the book with the other, because the FBI understands something that most Americans do not. The novel is not just a story. It is a manual. And the street gang in the book, the Cobras, is not fictional. The Cobras are the Blackstone Rangers, and the Blackstone Rangers are very, very real. The South Side of Chicago, the early 1960s. A teenager named Jeff Fort is growing up in the Woodlawn neighborhood. He is small. He is not physically imposing. He did not finish grade school. By every measure that the system uses to assess a young black man's potential, Jeff Fort is invisible. But Jeff Fort has something that no test can measure. He can organize. He can lead. He can walk into a room full of angry, directionless young men and give them a structure, a purpose, and a name. In the early 60s, Fort co-founds a street organization called the Blackstone Rangers, named after Blackstone Avenue on the South Side. What starts as a neighborhood crew grows into something the city of Chicago has never seen. By the late 1960s, the Blackstone Rangers have an estimated 50,000 members. 50,000. That is not a gang. That is a small army, spread across the South Side, organized into smaller units, each with its own leadership, all answering to Jeff Fort. And here is where the story first crosses the line between street crime and something the government has to take seriously. In the late 60s, the federal government is pouring money into anti-poverty programs. Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, the War on Poverty, and someone in Washington makes a decision that will become one of the most controversial grants in the history of American social programs. They give Jeff Fort's Blackstone Rangers $1 million. $1 million in federal anti-poverty funds from the Office of Economic Opportunity to run job training programs on the south side of Chicago. A street gang receiving government money to train young men for employment. The money does not go to job training. Senator John McClellan's congressional investigation later reveals that the funds are used to strengthen the gang's infrastructure. The jobs program is a front. The government has handed $1 million to a street organization and received nothing in return except a stronger, better funded street organization. Fort is convicted of misusing the federal funds. He goes to prison. He comes out. But before the conviction, before the prison, one detail tells you exactly how far Jeff Fort's reach has extended. In 1969, Jeff Fort is invited to the presidential inauguration of Richard Nixon. The inauguration of the President of the United States, a street gang leader from the south side of Chicago, standing in Washington, D.C., watching the most powerful man in the world take the oath of office, $1 million in government money, an invitation to the inauguration. And the man receiving both of these things is the leader of a 50,000-member street gang. That is 1969. The same year, Sam Greenlee publishes The Spook Who Sat by the Door, a novel about a man who takes a Chicago street gang and gives it a political framework. And in the real world, the leader of the biggest Chicago street gang already receiving government money and attending presidential events. The novel is not predicting the future. It is describing the present. And then comes the transformation. In the late 70s and early 80s, Jeff Fort does something that tracks almost exactly with what Dan Freeman does in the novel. He converts to Islam. He changes his name. He becomes Prince Malik, and he renames the Blackstone Rangers. They become the El Rukn Moorish Science Temple, the ELRUKNS, a street gang, reborn as a religious organization, with a new name, a new identity, a new framework that is no longer just criminal, it is political, it is spiritual, it is organized around a belief system that gives its members a sense of purpose beyond the corner. The El Rukns take over a former movie theater on Drexel Boulevard on the south side. They call it the Fort. It becomes their headquarters, their mosque, their command center. The theater marquee that once advertised films now displays the name of an organization that the FBI considers one of the most dangerous in America. And from inside the fort, Jeff Fort runs the south side. The fort, Jeff Fort runs the south side. But Fort is not satisfied with Chicago, because Jeff Fort has an ambition that goes beyond anything the FBI has ever seen from a domestic street organization. He wants international allies, and he finds one. Muammar Gaddafi, the leader of Libya, a man who has positioned himself as the champion of anti-American movements worldwide, a man who funds revolutionary groups across Africa, the Middle East, and Europe, a man who is, by the mid-1980s, one of the most wanted figures in American foreign policy. And Jeff Fort, from inside a federal prison cell, because he is already serving time on earlier charges, reaches out to Libya. The negotiation, when the FBI finally uncovers it, is staggering in its ambition. $2.5 million from the Libyan government, in exchange for the El Rukns carrying out operations against United States interests on American soil. A domestic street gang, negotiating with a foreign government to carry out operations against their own country. For $2.5 million, the FBI intercepts the plot. They discover that El Rukn members have actually traveled to Libya to meet with government officials. They discover that the organization has attempted to acquire military-grade equipment. The scope of the conspiracy is unlike anything the Bureau has ever done. Domestic organization. In 1987, Jeff Fort and several El Rukn members are convicted. The charges include conspiracy to commit acts against the government in exchange for payment from a foreign power. Fort, who is already serving a 75-year sentence on earlier charges, receives an additional 80 years. 75 plus 80, 155 years. The kind of sentence designed to ensure a man never sees daylight again. Jeff Fort has been in federal custody since approximately 1972. Over 50 years. He is currently held at ADX Florence in Colorado, the most secure federal prison in the United States. The same facility that holds the most dangerous men in the federal system. He has been locked up for more than half a century. He will never come out. And the film that predicted what he would do was banned 11 years before he did it. So sit with that chain for a moment. 1969. Sam Greenlee publishes a novel about a black man who takes a Chicago street gang and turns it into a revolutionary force against the American government. 1973. Simultaneously, the FBI makes the novel required reading at Quantico. The 1970s and the 1980s. Jeff Fort, the leader of the largest street gang in Chicago, renames his organization, gives it a political and religious framework, and attempts to negotiate with the foreign government to carry out acts on American soil. The novel describes a man turning a Chicago gang into a revolutionary army. Jeff Fort turns a Chicago gang into a revolutionary army. The gang is called the Cobras. Fort's gang is the Blackstone Rangers, from the same South Side streets Greenlee wrote about. The novel's character uses training and discipline to transform directionless young men into a coordinated force. Fort uses religion and structure to transform 50,000 gang members into an organization that negotiates with foreign heads of state. The FBI, someone would copy it. Someone copied it. And banning the movie did not stop it, because the conditions that created the story were not fictional. They were real. They existed on the south side of Chicago in 1969, when Greenlee published the novel, and they still existed in 1986, when Fort picked up the phone and called Libya. Sam Greenlee did not invent a fantasy. He described what was already happening. He just put it on paper before it reached its conclusion. The FBI understood that. That is why they banned the film and studied the book. They knew the story was not fiction. It was a forecast. And Jeff Fort proved them right. So what do you take from this story? Take the chain. A black man who worked for the American government wrote a novel about using the government's own tools against it. The FBI banned the movie and required the book. And a real man on the south side of Chicago, who had already taken government money and attended a presidential inauguration, did exactly what the novel described. The film was called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. It was pulled from theaters in 1973 and disappeared for 30 years. The man who made it real was called Jeff Fort. He has been in a cell for over 50 years and he will never leave. And the question the novel asked in 1969, the question the FBI was afraid of, the question that Jeff Fort answered in the worst possible way, is the same question that hangs over this story like smoke. What happens when the people you train decide to use what you taught them? The FBI knew the answer. They banned the movie to keep it from spreading. It spread anyway. Subscribe to Bloody Reports.
Spook Who Sat by the Door was what?
The nigga who sat by the door.
Nigga who sat by the door.
Well, I finally changed because I thought the spook who sat by the door was more subtle.
And of course, the play on words with the spook.
Exactly.
Now, that was just ingenious.
Yeah.
The spook who sat by the door. Was he originally a CIA agent?
Who?
Dan Freeman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it was always CIA.
Right.
Because if he was FBI, you couldn't have used the spook.
Right. No, he was always CIA.
Being that spook is a term for a CIA agent.
And when I told Mel about this idea, he said, Sam, what you got now is great. But your idea is dynamite. And it needs to be a film. And I can help you write the screenplay. So I thought about it. He went into Athens, Greece business. Yeah. We were living on Mykonos at the time.
Oh, you were living on the islands at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when he got back, I gave him the first chapter of The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
How long did it take you to write that book?
About 4 months.
4 months. And here it is almost 50 years later.
That's whatever.
So, in that 4 months, were you an angry, bitter black man at that time?
I was angry, but I wasn't bitter.
Different.
You
There's
were
a difference.
Yes, it is.
You know, I went through a period of business. But that came later when they closed down the film and got on my case.
Now, speaking of the film, you wrote the book in '66, and the film was produced
And
we shot it in
68?
No, we shot it in 73.
Yep.
Shot it in 72. It was released in 73 and suppressed in 74.
I'm sorry, I meant your book was published in America in 69. And it originally
Actually,
was
1970, January 1st.
January 1st, 1970.
It first been published in London, March 19, 1969.
60. Okay, in London in 69.
London
America,
is 69.
1970.
Over here.
And then
okay.
a few years later, the film will be produced.
Right.
Now,
You threw that bitch in the
was there a
UK
difference
first.
when
Hell
you dropped the book? Was there a big outcry from the powers that be, your own black community? Did it go in silence? Did people notice this book when it came out originally?
It's sold by word of mouth.
And you sold over 1 million copies of that book. Okay, so
Translated in 6 languages.
what languages?
Finnish, Swedish, German, Japanese, and Italian.
That's
I
what's
hear
up.
that The Spook Who Sat by the Door is required reading for FBI agents.
It was at the time. I don't know what it is now.
It probably
Because
still
you
is.
I was in a bar in the airport and ran across Aubrey Lewis with an All-American running back at Notre Dame.
I'm familiar with them.
And he'd also been an FBI agent.
Okay.
And he told me when he was in training at the FBI.
This is Aubrey Lewis, the former athlete.
Yes.
He was an FBI agent.
Yes.
And he had a conversation with you at an airport bar.
Right. And told me that
It makes you think which one of these football players is FBI or CIA agents is playing football. You just took a motherfucker spot that deserved it. Worked hard in high school and college, and the FBI agent got his spot. Ain't that a bitch?
when he went through training, the Spook Who Sat by the Door was required reading. That's still true.
Did that boost your ego and make you feel you were doing something right?
Yeah.
I hear that the movie was banned unceremoniously. Take us back to that time on the day that you found out that your movie, which opened to good box office initially, was banned, shut down, no explanation. How did that make you feel? Take us back to that day, please.
Totally frustrated. Didn't know what the hell could be done.
You had to know, though, why. Of course you knew why.
Sure. You see, we started receiving reports of exhibitors being visited by FBI agents.
Exhibitors?
Yeah.
Moviegoers?
No, the people who own movie theaters. We showed the film.
Oh, wow.
And
The actual owners of these theaters,
right,
just for putting in that film,
right.
they must have had to be in cahoots with you with some type of...
What about cahoots? In some cases, they agreed to take it off because they were convinced. In other cases, they ran it for the full term of the contract. Now, most of those reports, of course, were hearsay. But the manager of McVicker's Theater on State Street, which no longer exists, was a man who had been manager of the Regal Theater. He and my mother were close friends. And when I went down there to sell some books, they told him I was outside. He invited me into his office and said, for a week, he had been visited by 2 FBI agents who tried to persuade him to take the film off the market. He threw him out of the office. So that's first thing. The rest of it is hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
We also got a report that a delegation from the FBI finally sat down with the executives of the United Artists, who were the distributors, not the producers of the film, as some people feel.
Right.
And they said that they'll take the money out that they put in it, get a modest profit, and take it off the market. So it opened Labor Day in 73. And by February of 74, it was off the market.
Totally gone.
Totally gone.
Couldn't even... And of course, it wasn't like bootlegs or anything like that was back then.
That came after.
How did your film get to the streets then, even though they banned it? How are we looking at it to this day?
Young brothers would go in with a camcorder like you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was me.
Put on a tripod, point out to the screen, and produce VHSs. DVD that didn't exist.
So we had bootleg back then, literally tapes, and that passed through word of mouth.
Yes.
So
and I'm grateful to those bootleggers because they kept the film alive.
That's the underground for you, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Kept it
And I'm
alive.
an underground nigga, supported by underground people.
And of course, you're not terribly rich.
You're rich, but not terribly filthy rich. I'm rich spiritually.
Spiritually,
Woo! I'm broke.
good one.
So these I'm living on food stamps and welfare. And you were telling me earlier that you can't even get hired by some of these universities to speak and to teach, whether it's screenwriting or filmmaking or Black history. Now, why is that? Because I'm not the kind of nigga who they hire. I'm their color, but I'm not their kind. What is their kind? Better yet, what kind of nigga are you?
Free. Woo! Free.
Enough said.
I'm free.
Anything you would like to say to all of those viewers who supported your film, who love your books and love your poetry? Anything you would like to say to them? Thanks. What was the message in The Spook Who Sat by the Door? Coming from the author himself. A lot of people may get it twisted and probably have, correct? As far as the message in your book. It's healthier to fight, even if it's subdued, than to give up.
That's right.
Now, they have taken sociological surveys on rape victims, male and female, and they've discovered that those who resisted, even though they were overcome, were healthier and went through rehab a whole lot better than the ones who submitted. So it's healthier to fight, even if you overcome, than to just give up. Do you
That's
think
right. That's right. It's healthier to fight than to just give up. That's some real ass shit.
that the spirit that you were trying to tap into with, in your book, Dan Freeman, coming back to the community on the south side of Chicago, we can get specific. Do you think those type of brothers, that strong revolutionary spirit, is still alive in the streets of Chicago today? Yeah, but they have no direction. Okay, then. And you were there before the gangs, before the Gangster Disciples, before the Blackstones, and the, you know, everything else, Vice Lords and Solid Four Corner Hustlers, the Latin Kings, before even the Panthers. Right. And you were telling me that you even had a part in inspiring the Panthers and their movement. Tell us about that. Well, many of the chapters the Spook Who Sat by the Door require reading, not just for the FBI. The chapters of the Black Panther Party? Yeah. You couldn't really be a Panther at that time and not have read that book, right? No. That wouldn't make sense, right? No. Because that was the first of its time, correct? Right. Now, you being back then, I want to just reiterate that. That was the first Black revolutionary movie of its kind that cinema had ever seen at that time? Yeah. Nothing beforehand. Nothing in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. It was you. The closest thing that came to it was the Battle of Algiers. And that was a historic. That was a French production. But it was about the battle, a war. But it was about based on a true story. It was about the overthrow of French control of Algeria with the black soldiers. Most of them were black soldiers. Algeria's mixed. They got blacks, they got Semites, they got whites. So you can't. Okay, and that film was maybe the closest, but nothing like Urban Guerrilla, nothing like revolutionary, nothing like Black Power rising up. No. So you were the first. Some people even credit you as, and people might get the term twisted, but as the founder of the genre of blaxploitation. How do you feel about that?
Yep. And then he say Sweetback is the first, he's the last. And then like he goes off into all the ones that's in the middle, how they really had other people coming in funding it. But like the real shit that Greenlee represents was his shit and Sweetback. That's the real true shit to him. But this was The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Sam Greenlee. This is an inspirational movie to me because I'm a revolutionary for sure. And fuck all the haters that hate it. Because when I fuck this government up, y'all gonna wish y'all have joined me. Because some of y'all might mess around and die with my enemy. So don't get in my way when the revolution starts. That's all I gotta say. And check out the book, The Spook Who Sat by the Door by Sam Greenlee. You can catch it on YouTube. You can listen to the people reading it from the audio book. or y'all can watch the Spook Who Sat by the Door movie. It's free on YouTube also. So I'll be back later. Got to do a Star Trek live later, probably an HHN later after that. And I'll catch y'all in a minute. Charge his phone up. I might come back and game a little bit. Fight some motherfuckers real quick. Who knows? It all depends. But I'll catch y'all in a minute. This is Spook Who Sat by the Door. Shout to Live and Learn. Shout to everybody that's going to catch it on the playback. Everybody hit the like button. Peace.